In part 1 of this series, we went over how 2 state laws are attempting to navigate our state and region out of the current housing crisis. In part 2, we dove into the history of how we got here. Now let's figure out how to fix this. Overall, the solution is simple. We need to build more housing. What kind? All kinds, and especially affordable housing. But how do we do this? Where will we put this? Isn't all the land in Swampscott already used? We don't want skyscrapers! Let's start with how much housing we need first. How dense do we actually need to get? For 40B, the state law that is used to create more affordable housing in places that have historically resisted it, we currently need over 400 units just to meet the 10% threshold, assuming that no other housing is built in town. Remember, the goal is to have 10% of all housing units in the town be subsidized by the state. This means we'd need not only the Elm Place project that is currently slowly inching through the zoning board process, but we'd also need 3 more projects just like it. The caveat with 40B is that all units of the project get counted toward your subsidized housing inventory percentage, and not just those that are below market rate. Therefore, meeting the spirit of 40B actually requires a lot more than 400 units. For Section 3A, the MBTA's upzoning requirements, they are requiring that around 85 acres within a half-mile radius of our commuter rail station be zoned to increase density to about 15 units per acre, or 1,272 new units that are suitable for families with children. For reference, the current density of the area around the commuter rail is at around 5.5 units per acre. Why around the commuter rail specifically? Because we want to build housing for people, not cars, and attracting people to live here that have less of a reliance on a car than residents currently do is key to growing our population without growing traffic and space to park cars at the same rate. Will this take numerous Elm Place-sized projects to get to this density, or several new Ocean House-sized buildings? No. Think mostly a mix of triple-deckers and apartments over new shop and restaurant space in 2- or 3-story buildings. In total then, about 2,000 new units, a quarter of which would be below market rate, would put us in line with where the state has indicated we should already be. Because this is a significant need, significant changes will be required. Step 1 to increase our density appropriately is set out for us. We need to do the things 40B and Section 3A are laying out. For 40B though, if we don't like having only large developers present large multifamily housing projects in the middle of single-family only neighborhoods, then we need to do 2 things. First, get away from the idea that we need to have single-family only neighborhoods. And second, reduce the barriers that exist for smaller developers to build smaller multifamily projects with affordable units. We only get the housing projects that we incentivize to happen, and we are the ones with the power to change that incentive system by voting and demanding change. Section 3A is well prescribed as to the zone that needs to be created, but the law doesn't actually require that anything gets built, only that we allow for multifamily to be built more easily. Therefore, to meet the spirit of this law and to encourage current single-family homeowners to be willing to sell, we need to give them housing options in the rest of town to move to. This may be as simple as reducing the current minimum lot size in more expensive neighborhoods from 30,000 and 20,000 square feet, so homeowners in those neighborhoods have the option to divide up their lots if they choose. Additionally, some current homeowners in the future MBTA zone may simply want to downsize anyway, and making things like accessory dwelling units more flexible and achievable without an onerous approval process throughout town can help address that. In addition to zoning changes though, we need a vision and a collective will that things like racial equality and justice, the environment, a shared regional responsibility, and a sense of community are important to us, and we need a desire to work towards future plans instead of against them. We also need to recognize that adding density and being a beautiful, vibrant, and desirable place to live are not conflicting goals, and there are plenty of examples we can draw from. Growing to that will take attracting more people to town that would prefer walkable neighborhoods and would also prefer not to rely on a car for their main transportation needs. Existing residents will need to decide whether we want to maintain the status quo in which rising house prices are making the lifelong homes of aging seniors unaffordable, and we are also keeping ourselves segregated from certain economic groups. Or we could join the rest of the Boston metro area in creating nice places for our rising regional population to live. If we want to commit to a greener and healthier future, we need to figure out ways to drive cars less by bringing back the idea of the corner store and living in walkable neighborhoods. We also need to take back public green space and create gathering spots that everyone in town can easily get to. Getting to a more equitable Swampscott also means creating a more affordable Swampscott. and both of those require removing barriers that have been put in place instead of preserving them.